যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায়, তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। যদি আলো না ধরে, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে, যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে, তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে।
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. We have back with us Mr. AcademicMan. Thank you for coming to the podcast, AcademicMan.
Pitch ठीक है ना?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Gosh, it's good these days. Yeah. Anyway.
So, thanks for coming on the podcast. And thank you, Divya, Polymerist, Tatvik, Gautam, Varun. Thanks for joining the podcast. Now, today we have basically kind of 1.5 topics to get to. One is I'll have to update people on what is BBK, why is BBK, why do we talk about them, what are our intentions, and who are we paid by. No, we will never reveal that. Who are we paid by? You'll have to keep guessing. So the point is that if we got paid by someone, they would have stopped by now because of our very low number of views and subscription numbers. No one funds a channel and is happy with 14,000 subscribers in 3 years. Okay, that kind of funding doesn't happen in any place in the world. Now, I have run into a bunch of problems which I only had heard of until now. There's a famous Bengali song which I'm reminded of in this situation. Tare ami choke dekhini tar onek golpo shunechi. This song was written about the guild of Tollywood. I am planning to do a music video on Kal Bhairavashtakam. I have a sort of a rearrangement, my interpretation of the melody and the content of the song. And for it, the video will be based on a great storyline, which will be cinematically shot. I want you to forget whether you are watching a short film with just music in it for 4.5 minutes, or is it even a music video. I want you to feel like you are watching a piece of great cinema. So the storyline, screenplay, actors preparing for those roles, us location hunting, all of that is done. Location is locked, screenplay is locked. But as people say, screenplay is never really locked until the shots are done. So I guess we will keep doing some idea changes, because the team that we have gathered so far are all filled with kind of similar aged people and similar thinking people. So all that creative side of it is going absolutely great so far. Now on the technical side, I want to shoot it on a camera, which is what people usually see, the kind of movies that will be sort of similar to this video, movies or the music videos even, okay? Because we can never work on a blank page essentially, right? Unless you don't want to get recognized 30 years after your death. I'm not into that. So if you do want to get recognized in your lifetime, you have to follow some basic rules. So in that sense, I'm saying I find some movies specifically really well shot and stuff, some music videos really well shot, and I consider them to be great cinematography, great photography. So I will want my video to look that way. So for that, I need a particular piece of camera, which to even operate, you must hire about 10-15 people who have worked together consistently, okay? Because the light team has to be in consistency with the level of the camera. The what is the lenses, the prime lenses have to be relevant to that particular camera, all of which are not very frequently used, almost never in independent music videos in Bengal. Outside, yes, but why? That is kind of the topic of this discussion as well. So it will be a long monologue from me, and then we will get to discussing with AcademicMan. Okay, so think of this as an alap where he's the tabla player chilling behind the scenes.
वाह वाह बीसी क्या बना दिया हमको.
So, do you know that tabla players have a grudge towards vocalists for this?
Absolutely, absolutely.
They wait
As
for
a former
45.
student of classical music, I am well aware. So,
Yeah, they just sit like and smiling and sometimes saying, "Wow, that was great, that was great," but inside they are fuming. So, yes, Polymerist and Shekhar are asking relevant questions, which I will have to answer. First of all, also let me do the promotion as well, that I will have to crowdfund this from you viewers and whatever friends and family I can gather, etc. So that will be basically how this is made. So then the relevant question is, why don't you film it outside Bengal? I have been thinking about it since today morning after I got the latest updates on what's the situation about hiring that renting that camera. But if we go outside Bengal and shoot it, the cost for doing that will be almost similar to what we will have to end up paying the guild anyway. Why don't you try to shoot from the iPhone or some regular camera if it's not possible? Main reason, Shekhar, is because first of all, I think the iPhone's pro-ness is a little overrated, because if it was really that pro, and since it's just a phone, it's so cost friendly, it would have become the industry standard by now. It's obviously brilliant, but it's still not cinematic cinematic enough. Otherwise, everyone who says that, see, I made this video or this film on the iPhone, why don't they make the next fucking film on the iPhone as well? Why do they get back to RE and or FX9 and stuff? So I want my project to be the proest fucking thing you have seen from West Bengal in 50 years. I want my project to be at par with the stuff you are seeing everywhere else in India. Okay, I don't want it to have that gimmick, which I have always wanted to avoid from my own channel, from me having this identity of being a political discusser and stuff, which was that the Bengal of being from the gimmick of being from Bengal, okay, that's sort of a selling point for many people these days. That, okay, you are a Bengali and even then you are good at this. Oh, you are a Bengali and even then you know something about Indian history. Oh, you are a Bengali, even then you are a nationalist. Holy fucking cow. And then after this line, their qualities don't matter really, at least immediately. 4 years, 5 years later, people might wonder, does this guy even know anything? But the first easy access for Bengalis these days is being remotely good at something or the other, because the rest of Bengal is considered to be an elder brother of Bihar. So if I don't want to give people the excuse of, see, it was from Bengal, we have a lot of constraints, therefore this video is just a wannabe cinematic piece of music video, it isn't the real thing. I don't want to give that excuse. And I don't want to say that, oh, you see, we had a small budget, therefore we came up with fucked up shit or bad stuff. I'm never saying that just because you have a low budget, you'll end up making bad stuff, because Gangs of Wasseypur is is my favorite Indian movie of all time. And that's exactly what you are talking about then. If you don't have the certain resources, yes, if you don't have the resources, be scrappy. Now, Gangs of Wasseypur is known for a lot of things. It's not, it never impressed anyone the way some other stuff has impressed you, obviously. Otherwise, it would be more popular. But even now, you can watch Gangs of Wasseypur on a phone, because it's that great of a movie in that way. It doesn't make a difference if you watch Gangs of Wasseypur on a 27-inch monitor or a phone, okay? But I want mine to look like that, because the audio is there anyway. And if people really gave a shit about songs without music videos, we would have a different industry anyway. So my video firstly needs to look good, and I want it to look good as well. So for those reasons, not iPhone. The plan B is some other great cameras, but which are not really that camera, that specific camera. So the problem we are facing is that camera, the people who can even operate it, and have a team who can coordinate with those lights people. They are called gaffers, or the main head guy is called gaffer. They are all card holders, membership holders of the guild thing, Technicians Guild in Tollywood, of which we have discussed repeatedly. We have criticized Bengali intellectuals for supporting union bazi, at the same time not disliking the guild, because the guild is fucking with their paychecks, it's fucking with their creativity, it's fucking with their bread and butter. Therefore, a whole bunch of almost, I think, every Bengali from Kolkata who knows remotely about Tollywood and stuff, have a stance that they really hate and are opposed to the idea of Technicians Guild or whatever the Technicians Guild is doing. Like Parambrata Chatterjee, a Bengali actor who is a big honcho in the Trinamool circles these days, has some fucking post in the West Bengal government or the Tollywood. No, not the Tollywood, West Bengal government. Even he is dead upset, opposed against the Technicians Guild. But when he was explaining this, he was going on saying that, you see, I know why unions are great, but this is too bad. The age-old problem. Commies who like union bazi don't live in West Bengal. Okay, so all of those hypocrisies, age-old problem. Now, these commies who are not opposing communism in general, who are not opposing union bazi, have a big problem because the Technicians Guild is screwing their lives. And now, listen to how many ways there are to fuck your life up. And also remember that I am, in a sense, sort of a small-time business person, because I'm creating employment. I want to create employment for a bunch of artists right now in Kolkata, and I'm having a bad time with it already. A few days back in Instagram, a guy went viral for saying that Kolkata has the most business-friendly atmosphere in entire West Bengal. It was on a podcast on a channel called Rising with Kolkata or something. So I opened the comment section for fun's sake, and the people did not disappointed me, and all of them said that this guy is absolutely lying out of his ass. And I shared it on my Instagram story as well, and many people inboxed me also saying that, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Now, I want to ask that man here, me right now, working as kind of a producer for my own music video. I want to hire people, and I can't do that the way I want. I can't shoot it the way I want. I can't shoot it even kind of with who I want. And where I want is solved only because of its distance from Kolkata. So where's the business-friendly atmosphere? Now, the caveat is that more or less, these sort of powerful guilds exist everywhere in the country, in all the movie industries. Now, I guess they, at the end of the day, they don't want to fuck up the process. They, I guess, have kinds of fixed rates of doing things, fixed ways of doing things, and we will all follow the rules. Yes, I will have this sort of a side illegal earning and stuff, but I'll let the industry function. That's something lost on the Tollywood fuckers. So they are going on enriching themselves illegally at the cost of the industry itself, which is why the otherwise union lovers have now started saying that this guild stuff is going too far. And what's my proof of saying that in general the entire country faces this problem? My hunch is that is why, since the country faces this sort of a problem, what's his name, Aditya Dhar, had to shoot most of the scenes, of the action scenes and mountain scenes of Uri surgical strike in fucking Serbia. Okay, think of the situation: an Indian guy making an Indian film where the storyline is supposed to be set in India, and it's ironically about nationalism and patriotism and about how great the country is. That film can't be shot in fucking India because it's cheaper for and more convenient for Aditya Dhar to take all his crew, go to Serbia, set up shop there, and hire some crew from there and make the movie and return to India, than it is to do it in India. So obviously there's a problem, because the moment you have this discussion with a Trinamool supporter or commie, who are all of whom are hell bent on preventing Hindutva fascism in Bengal, they will say this happens everywhere. Just like when we were discussing the Deep Haldar book from 2021, some anonymous movie theater owner had told to Deepda that, you see, some amount of tolabaji, hafta wasuli, happens everywhere in the country. The problem with this government coming to power since then in Bengal has been that I don't know who the fuck I'm supposed to bribe. ये जो हफ्ता वसूली देना है, ये कितनों को देना है, कितना तक देना है, कितने दिन के लिए देना है, there's a huge ambiguity even about that. So that cinema theater owner was saying that earlier in CPM's time, what used to happen is a guy came per month or per week, and I gave him a fixed amount, and everyone was happy with it. Everyone went home happy, no other botherations and stuff. After this government comes to power, let's say, just for example's sake, I give this guy $10. 2 weeks later, another guy from the same party, claiming to be from the same neighborhood, comes and asks for $15. 3 weeks later, another guy comes and says, "Give me $20." And all of them are threatening with dire consequences. And this guy ends up giving about 100 rupees to all these three people. Okay. And hence, everyone's going poor. I have repeatedly informed you guys about why Tollywood comes up with very amateurish, stuff that would not be watched even blindfolded if you paid someone to do it in the rest of the country. That's the level of our quality. Like, I recommended Bohurupi heavily to everyone, and some guys returned home seeing it and commented on the live stream that Dada, you said Bohurupi was so fucking awesome, but it's not that great. I reminded them that no, actually, I said that Bohurupi is great for Tollywood. It's not a Kantara and stuff. It's not RRR and stuff. It's not Anurag Kashyap. It's absolutely brilliant, way better than anything Tollywood has done in the last 50 years, but except the first 3-4 Anjan Datto directed films. Of course, they are the best ever in Tollywood, I think. Now, the reason for that I had told you was, just like I, as a composer, gets hilarious timelines to do stuff, similarly, script writers and screenplay writers must also be getting that kind of hilarious timelines. Okay, I give you 2 days, now give me a Godfather-like script. That's the kind of briefs I get. I had once worked on the background score of a Bengali serial who said, I'll give you 500 rupees per 2.5 minutes of your compositions. I'll need a bunch of 2.5 minute long compositions. The reference track is Bahubali. It has to sound like Bahubali, 2.5 minute long, 500 rupees per song. I negotiated that up to 700 rupees and did that. And he asked 3 2.5 minutes long song pieces per day. So that's about 9 minutes of Bahubali-like compositions per day for 2,100 rupees. That's the kind of logic and mathematics you find in West Bengal, which is why Tollywood will always be shit. Now, what I'm adding another extra layer of information today is that then why is that guy getting 2 days to write a Godfather cutting script? Okay, that's a colloquial way in Bengal when someone wants to plagiarize something or wants to use something as a reference. We use the word cutting. So let's say I want you to I want to form a band with you that sounds like Dream Theater. I'll say at a Dream Theater cutting band. Okay, we will do a Dream Theater cutting band. So the references we get is बाहुबली कटिंग म्यूजिक करना है कल सुबह और या फिर क्रिस्टोफर नोलन कटिंग स्क्रिप्ट चाहिए कल सुबह. तो if you spend a majority of your money in doing the guild shenanigans and hiring guild people, then what's your money left for real creativity? Just from today morning, I have been worried about it majorly for the last 1 or 2 weeks, but since last night, my worries have shot up. Now, me being the creative head of this project, I am the main guy thinking about this thinking up and trying to give birth to this project. I'm busy now thinking who to call up for based on my contacts. With who in which party might end up helping me. Can they at all help me even? Instead of thinking on the creative side, thinking about the creative side. So how will people prioritize this? Now, another thing that the basics of how this guild thing works, and I have heard so many complaints about it from so many people all over the place and for about 5-6 years, is that let's say you are making a short film or film, you will have to hire a number of technicians who are employed with the guild, who are card holding members of the guild. Now, some of them are real technicians because the entire film industry is still functioning, right? So some of them can actually do some stuff, maybe badly, but they can actually do it on the technical side. Some of them actually can't even do it, and some of them know a technology which has not been relevant since Satyajit Ray passed away. Okay, all these three people, these sorts of people you'll have to hire. The main reasoning for this is And even those Tollywood directors, those comedy directors who all of a sudden had woken up to this idea of communism fucking them, and criticized the guild, they said that they have been getting criticisms from now Trinamool supporters that, oh, you will live in great fancy apartments, Urbana campaign apartments, and you'll drive a Toyota Innova, and we will, the hardworking poor person who had to be forced into becoming a light holder for a movie. Society pestered him. Manusmriti said that he has to become a light holder. He can't do anything else. How much will that light holder get paid? What will his life turn out to be? How will his career maintain? What if he ends up having to do something real for a job? What if he has to pull a rickshaw? He has to hold a light. So you have to give some money off of your Toyota Innova to feed this man. And then therefore you'll have to hire him. So garib logo ke paas khane ko kuch nahi hai. That age-old, let's say, fallacy is here to fuck everyone's careers up, in the same way that this fallacy has fucked country after country repeatedly all over the world. Now, why are we discussing BBKs also today? So these are now two parallel topics which I will join after I explain to you what are BBKs and why we discuss them. Okay, Rohan Dante is asking, do you compose only metal music or something beyond that? No one survives on making just metal music in India. So my bread and butter is music arrangement, music programming, background scores, which involves all genres except Latin American, South American music, which I don't like, but even that I have done sometimes. So all sorts of ad jingles, background scores, any commercial music, song arrangements. Like today you want to do a cover, you come to me, I'll make the entire track for you. You'll just send me a clean vocal piece wherever you record it, etc. I'll make the entire instrumentation for you. And of course, background music stuff, which is mainly dependent on orchestral epic music, which is my favorite thing to do. So anyway, BBKs. BBKs are Kolkata's Brahmins, Boitos, and Kaistos. The word BBK, the phrasing BBK was first of all coined by some of our viewers, not by me. So BBKs are a phenomenon. Any random Brahmin or Vaidya or Kaista from wherever in the world do not fall under this category. The BBK thing, the BBKishness, the BBKism of it all is only applicable to, relevant to Kolkata's Brahmins, Boitos, and Kaistos, and a lot of newer castes post 90s who have kind of become adjacent to them, who have grown up in Kolkata, and especially South Kolkata. The Brahmins, Boitos, Kaistos of the rest of West Bengal do try to emulate them. So a lot of them reach the destination 10 years later, 15 years later, but since by then the real BBKs have moved on to other stuff, they are still not relevant. So the emulation kind of always goes on, okay? So whatever idea comes out of Kolkata will percolate everywhere in 10, 15 years. But by then Kolkata will have moved on to some other idea. So they will still remain the lesser people. Now, and this is the nature with any exclusive group. Remember, castes are status groups who are exclusive, who have their own consumption patterns. What they consume, how they consume it, what sports do they watch, how do they watch it, what food they eat, how do they eat it, in what ways, what are their quantities, what do they talk about while eating the food. And the one fun trivia about exclusive groups are that the moment you get into their group by emulating their consumption patterns accurately enough, they will immediately move on to some other stuff because that stuff is no longer cool and edgy for them. For example, you'll hear criticisms like, आजकल तो सब sound engineer है, आजकल तो सब rapper है, आजकल तो सब videographer है, whatever new professions come up. It is said by people who were already in those scenes and are now pissed off that newer, dirtier people, ritually polluted people who are not deserving of this perhaps are entering. Now, it may or may not be a right criticism even, okay? That, yeah, some educated, let's say uneducated, badly skilled people are also entering the profession. But so what? You are not pissed off about that. You are pissed off because it's no longer your cool, edgy group. And the fact that you are saying it, and the fact that it's said by BBKs in all contexts, which is why if you know any Bengali, any famous Bengali in any field, if you're non-Bengali, you are probably talking about a Brahmin or a Boidya or a Kaisto. They are the only castes who have always been at the top of every profession in Bengal, okay? No matter, you can come up with 5 or 6 counter examples and stuff. Oh, see, he was not BBK. That does not mean shit. Now, in that context, a sort of a Twitter bawal happened between me and our longtime podcast guest, Sri, a great philosophy teacher, a very knowledgeable person. And I held no ill will towards him. I never do, because I've debated him twice before on other topics, metal for some reason. He was teaching me about
तुम भाई लोगों को
evolution.
बुला के जलील करते हो, मतलब तुम YouTube चैनल पे बुलाते हो, फिर ट्विटर पे जलील करते हो. What is this, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing from you?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I did not think I was zalilifying him. It was simply a debate on whether we should even bring up the castes of these commies. I'll first explain to you why I thought that's a good thing to do. But why AcademicMan has told me why that's a nice thing to do was for a completely different reason, which our viewer Tenoheka Banz stumbled upon this realization, which was even more hilarious. I do it for the sole reason that, first of all, I'm absolutely opposed to reservations. So when I talk about BBKs of Kolkata and how they are at every position of power, I'm not really disputing that has happened without merit. Yeah, there are privileges involved, but right now, if you just decide that, no, I will only hire Dalit composers and Dalit directors and Dalit actors, what's the guarantee that it will even be a good product? So I'm not talking about reservations in Tollywood. The only reason I do it is to point out to those Brahmins, Boitos, Kaistas of Kolkata, 99% of whom are commies, that your caste for all the other states in India is similar to your lifestyle here. Everywhere you say, oh, still not a Dalit, okay? Yeah, he achieved a great thing. But what's the Dalit representation in this? The people who talk about Dalit representation in all contexts in the rest of the country cannot get away with not giving Dalits any representation in their own state, in their own families, in their own political parties. CPIM, a meritocratic party who doesn't believe that anyone who cannot argue the Marxist point really well and really articulately deserves a spot in high places in the party, and therefore they only hire Brahmins. And am I saying that Dalits can't do that? Well, if they could, CPIM would have hired them happily. Why and only Brahmins and some Buddhas and some Kaistas, really? It's a Brahmin heavy party, Brahmin dominant party. So similarly, all of them need to be pointed out that, see, your criticism is applicable there, but not here. Why the fuck? Then maybe Manusmriti has nothing to do with, bro. Maybe Hinduism is not what's making you a Brahminical patriarch in West Bengal, right? Because you don't even know how to spell Manusmriti, or if you know, it's a fire fodder. Okay, you light it up in the winters. Then what? Then think harder. Then what is your anti-Hinduism discourse on caste? What is it based on? Who was funding the stuff you studied all these years? That's my goal here. Srijit Dotto did not understand any fucking thing in this line of view, because he is hell-bent on why is BJP Smriti Irani bringing the Dalit discourse into West Bengal. Okay, now this is weird on some. It's not bad or evil or good. It's just weird. It's creepy and cringy to an extent. His problem is, why is BJP bringing caste discourse into West Bengal, in the sense that they are pointing out that the Sandesh Khali people, victims, were Dalits. Srijit Dotto has a problem with that, and some of his lackeys. One fat Brahmin guy who ended up threatening me and asking me to meet at a place called Bhawanipur in Kolkata. He will show me some stuff. First of all,
bro, that sounded so wrong. He told you to meet at a place in Kolkata, showing to you. Anyway.
Showing man boobs on the street cannot be the monopoly of commies. We will have to reclaim showing man boobs from them. Anyway. So yeah, my alap is going on for too long. I'll take as much as the real alap exists only. Okay. So think of your groups. Yes.
यही तुम करते हो, तुम गेस्ट को बुला के जलील करते हो, हमको YouTube पे ही जलील कर दिए,
yeah,
बाकियों को Twitter पे जलील कर दिए.
Yeah, so our guy Tenoheka Banzai here, he's about 14 or 15 years old. That's how he looks, but he has understood a high concept in Indian sociology that not many people get, which is AcademicMan's main intention of showing the world the true face of BBKs with the BBK discourse. My intention has been to show them that what you accuse everyone else of doing in the rest of the country, you are doing it yourself, and even without knowing it. Academic Man has told me, you will see that they have only their status group, which just happens to be their caste, their self-interests in mind. They are only thinking, and they have always thought about their self-preservation. Now, that's what Tenoheka Banzai ended up saying to me on Twitter, that the way Srijit Datto fought with me on Twitter, at the end of the debate, which I will now explain to you what happened, Tenoheka Banzai said, Dada, these guys are just interested in self-preservation. Why? That's the fun with exclusive groups and universal ways of doing their status, okay? Doing your status. So anyway, Srijit Datto is unhappy with Smriti Irani, and some other guy who also is a viewer of our channel put up a status saying that, you know why nobody cares about the Sandesh Khali victims or the Murshidabad victims, because they are from the lower castes. Srijit Datto loses his minds at this, and many of our viewers who are still our viewers and who have left the channel by now, all of them thought this way when we first talked about these things from this channel. We are the fucking pioneers in this content and in this topic in West Bengal. Okay, now it has confused me, of course, in the beginning as well. Morijhapi. How does it matter if the Morijhapi victims were Dalits? It's not like Jyoti Basu was reading Manusmriti in the morning and therefore going on killing Dalits. But you'll have to understand the point of it all, which is, in the end, status again. Those Dalits who were not Dr. Mondols from JU, they were a specific kind of Dalit in the remotest outskirts of West Bengal. If they died or if they got killed, it did not matter. It did not matter to the BBKs of Kolkata. Of course, Jyoti Basu had his specific intentions. He just didn't want a fuss. He was a strong leader, the kind of leader that Hindutva socialists want for India, and he was just doing that these guys creating too much of a fuss and ruckus. I don't want them to exist. Poof. Our entire, I think the main discourse surrounding Morijhapi always has to be, why were the BBKs of Kolkata, the intellectuals of Kolkata, the academics of Kolkata silent? Again, some bullshit exception cannot derail my conversation here, because people like Sanjeev Sanyal, Vivek Debroy, Deepda, they have talked about this, and they have received testimonials from the guy who has done the main research on this, who is Dr. Ross Malik, who, judging from the way he writes his papers, I do think he has a distinct hatred for upper castes by now, based on the things he has seen in his life. But even that sort of a person overtly says that I'm hugely indebted to people like Vivek Debroy, Sanjeev Sanyal, and Deep Haldar for talking about Morijhapi. And Sanjeev Sanyal and Vivek Debroy have gone on record in interviews saying that that it was to be blamed on Bhadraloks. They are complicit by staying silent, etc. And who are the Bhadraloks? The Bhadraloks, by definition, are Brahmins, Boitos, Kaistos. Academic Man, if I'm not wrong, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay came up with the term, right?
In what sense? Like the term Bhadralok?
No, that Bhadraloks are BBK.
No. This was an observation far before that, actually. This was...
The fact that they are just BBK as well.
Yes. This was a statistical analysis done by Brumfeld. Okay, elite conflict in a plural society. That was published in 1970s or 60s. Okay, that and even then there was a making of a colonial mind. That was also a book. I don't recall the author. He did a statistical analysis showing that the educated class who identified as Bhadralok were primarily BBK.
So Shekhar Bandyopadhyay built on it and said that Bhadralok itself is a caste.
Yes. In the sense that Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's like primary work, which is pioneering, because nobody before that in a mainstream academic context spoke about the Dalits of West Bengal. Everyone spoke about other things, religion, Vaishnavism, this, that, whatever crap. But he actually showed that Bengal में एक Dalit movement है, which is the Motua Mahasangha. This is very weird that the Motua Mahasangha becomes, like, people become absolutely silent on the Motua Mahasangha after the partition. Okay.
Yes, the first time I heard the word Motua was in 2009 when CPIM's Brinda Karat went to that Motua matriarch.
Yes. So imagine the level of silence that a state which the even worse part is people here protested against Vietnam, Iraq war, all that stuff, American imperialism.
Then why not Morid Jhapi?
Then firstly they suppressed the first Dalit movement of West Bengal. That is the Motua Mahasangha, which was led by Horichand Thakur and Guruchand Thakur. They not only suppressed that information that यहाँ पे एक बहुत बड़ा दलित आंदोलन था, number one. Number two is they also suppressed the facts like that. For example, in the Great Calcutta killings, major amount of people who were killed were belonging to the Dalit castes.
I see. I did not know that. What the fuck?
Yeah, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's paper is there on that. So, yeah, there is a paper that says by Shekhar Bandyopadhyay and I think some Rai Chaudhuri, some Rai Chaudhuri person, that says that the most number of people who were killed in Calcutta killings were actually Dalits mostly. Of course, some upper caste were also killed. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
but why was that? Because obviously the street fighting ho raha tha. But people who were on the streets, basically fruit seller, rickshawala, these kind of people, they were the primary victims of Great Calcutta killings, right? So imagine that, and then Morid Jhapi and all that stuff. So everything that happened was basically covered up. All of this stuff, including the movements. So this was to present Bengal as a casteless society. This was always the desire of the communists and even the Congress party, which were strangely always led by upper castes, matlab BBK. So that seems like, I am not BBK by the way. So that means that it seems very kind of like a way in which this is exactly the kind of response you got from Twitter, that matlab to protect their interests, they kind of also had to kind of cover up the actual issues of Sandesh Khali, which is that the women who allegedly were raped and whatever in Sandesh Khali were actually from the Dalit castes and tribal communities. This is also glaring because, and that your viewer who pointed out was right, and this is something I have said sometimes as well, that the Abhaya case, obviously horrific, we all protested against it, we all hate that it happened, was got the people of West Bengal on the roads. Just like the Vietnam War got people of Kolkata on the roads, the BBKs. It was led by all Srijit Mukherjee, Swastika Mukherjee, Srilekha Mitro, Imon Chakraborty, all these people. So the names, you can understand what I'm trying to do there. So all of these people led these protests. Many Chakraborty, Chatterjees, Banerjees, these people. In Kolkata, they did Raat Dakhol. They kind of came on the streets and stayed up all night and did all that, whatever. Now, very nice political statement and all that, and we feel very sad. That's fine. Even I was a part of some of it. But the point we are trying to make is that Sandesh Khali also saw crimes against women, apparently, and the victims themselves spoke out on TV, and there were coverage also. There are videos still on YouTube, but nobody came on the streets, and that is why we decided that we will point out this hypocrisy, even if it hurts the sentiments of some people. It has to be pointed out that there is certainly a hypocrisy going on in Kolkata.
Yeah. Now let's just answer these point blank questions, which is the kind of questions I like. This gets to my intentions directly, or even if I'm lying, what is my at least public stance on this? That needs to be clear. And thanks for asking a direct question. If you are Kaisto, does it mean BBK? Only if you are a commie who is from Kolkata. Usually, that's who I mean when I say BB commies, BBK OMMIES. But now, after the Srijit Datto incident, I will consider you BBK. By BBK again, I mean who is either a commie or still prefers his caste self-preservation over Hindu unity and stuff. And I'm again not getting into that. You have to forget your identity for Hindu unity, etc. But Srijit Datta's criticism is that because of this BBK discourse, because of even us pointing out that BBK is a thing, or pointing out that Mori Jhabi victims were Dalits and Sandesh Kali victims were Dalits, we are again harming Hindu unity. Now, his argument, therefore, is that Hindu unity has to come at the cost of not just past injustices, even recent fucking injustices, or erasure of this interesting phenomenon, at least, that it is Dalits who are dying in these situations. And why can't they be designated in that way? Because of their caste. Only because then the BBKs who are even right-wingers in Bengal, they have to get some blame, some heat from that flame of casteism, okay? They don't want that. They don't want to admit that it has been Brahmins, Boitos, Kaistos at all positions of power. They don't have the balls to say, yes, bro, what can we do? That's the way our privileges were there in our upbringing, etc. And therefore we ended up getting there. It was because of merit, maybe argue that. They are saying, don't bring up caste. Don't point out that these people, if they died, it did not matter in Modi Chapian and Sandesh Kali, etc. Why should I do that when this is such a great instrument and weapon against commies who are saying that this would be a casteist incident anywhere else in the country? Remember, you were not a viewer back then. I used to give this example that today, if I'm in a band where the vocalist is Bengali, if we have a fight, tomorrow the headline might be in Bengal, or will be that a vocalist beat up a guitarist. Okay, that's the news. If the same thing happens in UP, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and stuff, the news will be Brahmin singer beats up non-Brahmin, essentially, because if they say Vaishya, then it's again upper caste. They don't want that. They want to show Brahmins in bad light, specifically in this case, since there's a Brahmin involved. So a Brahmin beats up lower caste guy since it's lower than him, or what else? Non-Brahmin guitarist. News headlines, statistics are done everywhere else in the country except West Bengal. And because of this complicity of the journalism world and the academic world, Bengal commies, bhadraloks, academics, artists, they keep to go on saying forever that therefore Hinduism is kind of bad, except the Ramakrishna Mission way. Hindutva is definitely bad, and BJP is a casteist party. Till date, they have not realized this core fundamental of Hindutva, that caste unity has to work, is a prerequisite for Hindutva to function. Let's say even if we acknowledge the worst intentions of Hindutvadis that the commies thrust upon them, which is that they want to kill all Muslims or kick out every Muslim, etc. Even for that, they will require caste unity. But on the other hand, commies of Bengal are going on accusing BJP of doing Brahminical politics at a time when right-wingers like Srijit Datta are saying BJP is being too communist. Okay, we also say BJP is very socialist. They are saying BJP is socialist in this way, not in other ways. Now, I'll have to show you the thread a little bit. And someone answer Moinagda's question here.
No, Aryan race nahi ho sakta.
So this is a guy called Parag Jain. Yeah, go ahead.
The problem with the whole entire problem is nobody, we, at least you and I, we're not resenting that somebody has privilege, had privilege,
yes,
had cultural capital.
You know, sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of some of our viewers have actually used this as a criticism for our way of saying things, that we are postmodernists, therefore, because they think we are postmodernists just like the Americans, and we are friends with the Marxists, and we want to end all order. I'm saying that we are analyzing it probably the same way, but all of this is inherently wrong and therefore immediately needs to end, etc. We're not saying that. I'm not even in favor of reservation. So yeah, go ahead.
No, exactly. So the bigger problem is that we're actually having the issue in, the problem is that so far there have been such gross injustices and the Hindutva issue. That means that a Hindu unity beyond caste and whatever your economics and class and all that and gender. That vision that I guess most now people who identify as Indie Queen have, the biggest hindrance in Bengal for that has been the BBKs, who have
and
always
only BBK. Oh, I guess Sriji Datta will say no. There are so many gundas and lower caste gundas in the rest of the state, etc. But idea generation happens at the hands of BBKs.
Yeah, the ideas. Look at point out one academician who has on the left, who is a Bengali academician who is not a BBK, who has not given these ideas, who has not supported these.
Oh yeah. I was about to say Dr. Molay Patla, but he's a goddamn right winger. At least not a right winger, at least ends up writing a book on Savarkar.
He's a pro Savarkarite. So that's the whole problem. At any kind of discourse that you see, sometimes even in the West, people who are Bengalis who come up with it typically belong to these three castes. And not just Bengalis, I have seen even sometimes in Delhi and other places, there are academics who are Brahmins who have the worst kind of anti-Hindu hate in academia. This I have, for example, I'll give you an example. Ajantha Subramaniam. She wrote a paper on how IITs are actually caste havens. Okay. Matlab IIT mein which is the highly meritocratic place, despite having reservations and all that, where the top minds of the country go to compete every year. There she is pointing out ki yahan pe bhi hidden caste hai. Ajanta Subramaniam, who, if I'm not mistaken, is a Brahmin who lives in America. Okay. So when she is talking about the hidden, the privileges that Brahmins in IITs have, then we should also point out that you yourself is a Brahmin who is living in the US. So you don't have any less privilege. So if your point is that dismantle privilege, then all these BBKs or other communities, Tambrams and others who are living in the US and all these other privileged places, and they are asking for Hinduism to be dismantled and who are talking about Dalit pride and all that stuff, they should first give up their positions to accommodate Dalits, if that is their vision. For example, there is a historian, Joya Chatterjee, in the UK, in Cambridge, if I'm not mistaken. She wrote a book called Bengal Divided, where she blamed Hindu and a lot of the Hindu Mahasabha for the partition. Now, even the reviews of that book, some of them actually said that this seems to be a very biased account, but it is mandatory reading in many universities of India. Now, look at her name and look at what she's doing. She is actually absolving the real criminals of the partition.
And anyone who still believes in birth-based casteism, pointing out the BBK factor actually helps dismantle those idiots as well. So it's a beautiful weapon to fuck all of India's enemies.
Exactly. And look at it this way. If you to re-establish the idols of Sri Aurobindo and Savarkar and all these people, you must destroy the communist idols that have been established so far. Okay.
Yes.
And that is the bigger issue, that sometimes iconoclasm isn't a bad thing, but iconoclasm ka jo language hai, a lot of people won't like it. But we'll still, I guess, continue to do it.
I don't see where communism or Islamism stands without the ideology generators. If they are made irrelevant, people think the pattharbaz on the street is the most dangerous one. It is not. And even right-winger legit, mainstream famous right-wingers also say these things these days. I guess that's why at least our channel is somewhat relevant. But people have finally realized that it is they who are doing the defending and justifying. Pattharbazi goes on because of defense and justification, not because of the patthar. Now,
yes,
we will have to get into...
just go on. One more line, because you said this. Vivek Agnihotri has written a whole book and everything. He has made films on urban Naxals. That is his whole point. Urban Naxal ka agar tum caste composition dekh loge to you will go crazy.
BBK.
Because
mainly B.
BBK, and even when they are from other states, they are mostly from Brahmins or dominant castes. Okay, so that is very shocking. Matlab, the people who are supposedly the biggest, most privileged people in the Hindu community did the complete backflip of 180 degrees and went against this thing, went against them. So went against their own community.
Yeah.
So that is very problematic.
Now I'll have to explain the Twitter thread a bit, and after that, AcademicMan will help me connect this to the problem in the beginning, Tollywood's problem, how BBKs are fucking that up. So someone called Parag Jain shares this on Twitter, writes this on Twitter. He's a follower of my Twitter handle, at least. I don't know if he follows our YouTube channel or not. He says, do you know why there was not much outrage on Sandeshkhali, Murshidabad and Bangladesh? Because victims in these incidents were largely Dalit. Otherwise, it would have been kind of a reaction we saw in the RG Kar case. Srijit Datta is very pissed off with it. He says, a grossly wrong assessment. There was a huge agitation against the RG Kar atrocities because it occurred right at the heart of the capital city of Kolkata. Heart of the capital city of Kolkata. And that is not the seat of power. The proximity to power of the Brahmins, BBKs have nothing to do with this. And in capital letters, so you know it's serious. And because those who led the agitation were from a highly resourceful, well-connected professional political unions of the left, who are not, that does not meet the definition of Brahmins with those castes at all, you see, who have mastered the art of street agitation. It is another matter that Tolamul, meaning TMC, managed it so well that the main opposition party, BJP, could not take control of it, and therefore it fizzed out soon. Because BJP doesn't have enough BBKs in their folds. Is it this frustration that makes the BJP create a strawman like this, like caste? So you see, Srijit Datta is trying to play the Maulana Modi card here, that he is so nationalistic and so right-winger that he thinks BJP is not doing a great job. On which we will agree, of course, on economics and stuff. The victims of Sandeshkhali, Murshidabad and Bangladesh were Hindus, and they were targeted because they were Hindus. And you see, there begins his fallacies and why this is even grammatically wrong. Victims and Bangladesh were victims. Then why or how aren't the victim Hindus of Kolkata being targeted equally? What's the privilege here? A, BBK. It's not that lower castes don't live in Kolkata, but in privileged positions in Kolkata, it's 99% BBK. And secondly, proximity to fucking power, which is probably the key source of status in the first place. Status asman se nahi girta hai. It all happens because of your distance from power, and then of course what kind of exclusive group you make up based on the starting point of economics and proximity to power. Okay, so anyway, he is ignoring all these things because he's just like all other Indian right-wingers who thinks casteism either didn't happen, or if it happened, it was a good thing, or it happened just when British came and did something about it. The victims of Sandeshkhali, they were Hindus, not because they belonged to this caste or that caste. Hindus, qua Hindus, have never been the left's electoral constituency. Incidentally, that left doesn't want to harm the Hindus of Kolkata. They seem happy with doing Morijhapi in Morijhapi. And therefore, naturally, the left was completely unconcerned about them. Imputing the caste angle to this reaction disparity is not only intellectually and politically lazy, it is actually dangerous as it jeopardizes the Hindu interest. Now, some people might say 21st July, the massacre of Congress workers in Kolkata, that might have had mainly BBKs, although most of them weren't from Kolkata, right? Then what?
Oh, and most of them weren't BBK either.
I see. Lol. But even then, the proximity to power argument works here because, yeah, so Jyoti Basu was not obviously killing the Morijhapi people because of Manusmriti. And in the same way, he killed Congress people as well inside the city. But why does the 21st July thing remain in people's mind more than Morijhapi? Because of proximity to power. There are inherent privileges to remaining close to power.
What's even worse about the Morijhapi thing? The CPM's main vote base was refugee. Okay, matlab they kept their primary vote base and they didn't even protest, like nobody even protested about it because they were, Dalits and in the Sundarbans. So that's somehow way worse.
So Hindus have never been the voters of left, etc. Imputing the caste angle to this reaction disparity is not only intellectually and politically lazy, it is actually dangerous, as it jeopardizes the Hindu interest. It achieves nothing but a further division of Hindus at a time when they are facing a great danger and therefore should stay united for the sake of self-preservation. Now, this last sentence actually might come across as relevant to a lot of even well-wishers of our channel. Let me just clarify why it is still wrong. It could have been that way if the BBK mindset was equal in the entire state. It could have been a discourse that breaks up Hindu unity, etc. if a lot of people from all over the state were equally represented in positions of power in all fields, not just BBKs. So you see, in the end, worst case scenario, if we do end up using this weapon effectively against BBKs and they become irrelevant, what will happen is BBKs who are today 99% commies, those fucking commies will become irrelevant, not Srijit Datto. My ire is not towards Srijit Datto, although he ended up getting my ire because he blocked me. Blocking is the end of the way for me, end of the path for me, guys.
Untouchability on Twitter.
Yeah. Even right before, a Kayasta guy blocked a Vaishya. Holy shit. So up until he blocked me, another viewer of ours, whose name is Thomas Soel Kumar Thakur, etc. He was saying that Dada itna bhi bawal mat kar lena ke matlab bridge burning ho jaye after all he's on our side, etc. I said yes, I'm not doing that. We are having a debate like we have had before as well. So our disagreement is only like in 1-2% of the entire thing. This is a negligible difference. And when his book Agni Yuga releases, I'll have him on the podcast. 5 minutes later, I find out he has blocked me because after doing a lot of trolling and casual sort of naughty trolling, when I was doing the naughty trolling, he was coming up with serious academic rebuttals. I was rebutting them with trolls, not serious replies. The only serious and academic reply I gave, I saw. After that, he blocked me. Now let's get to this conversation. Imputing the caste angle is dangerous because it harms Hindu unity. It doesn't, because it harms only fucking BBKs who are BBKs of Kolkata, who are 99% commie. It doesn't harm anyone else. But then why are people like Srijit Datto and the fat guy who called me to Bhavanipur, why are they bothered? That's where AcademicMan's criticism comes in. He had predicted that this will show you the true face of these people, which is their caste interests, their status interests, their almost lineage interests even. Although I'm only accusing that. Srijit Datto might say that I'm not saying these things because I'm BBK myself. I just happen to be BBK, just like every BBK happens to be a BBK everywhere in Bengal. But I'm mainly talking about Hindu unity, not because I'm a BBK myself. But well, now how can I discredit AcademicMan's claim here? Here we find another BBK saying that the BBK discourse should not be done. Imputing the caste angle is, ye to ho gaya. Instead of looking for counterproductive and false excuses with a net negative effect on its electorate, the BJP should up its game in the state of West Bengal if it is really serious about winning elections. Now, the first thing that pissed me off was this guy, Parag Jain. I don't know if he's from BJP or not. It says nothing of the sort on his profile. Keen observer, IIT Roorkee, alumnus, entrepreneur. Now, if this guy happens to be from BJP, then Srijit Datto's criticism is at least seemingly correct. But I thought this guy is a follower of my Twitter handle, and the discourse he is pushing here is also the discourse I push. So I defended him. There, things took a downhill. I said, Srijit, which BJP member is talking about this caste angle is the person you quote tweeted from BJP, because I didn't know BJP was saying these things. Srijit Datto informed me that Smriti Irani has actually said these things. Then I get accused of being a BJP Dalla. Anyway. So, firstly, he says, he comes across pointlessly disrespectful in the very first sentence when it was a casual, polite counter from me. And it was a question, it was not even a counter. He seems butthurt already for some mysterious reason, okay? He feels like he has to take this against BJP. So he says, bro, you must read or else you will fall back, which is the classic JU trope as well, chance pay that kind of stuff. First get into JU, then you'll criticize JU, etc. So this interesting BBK right-winger criticizes me in the very first sentence by saying, read more, otherwise you will fall back. And then says, Smriti Irani interpreted the Sandesh incident from a caste angle, the chap I quoted merely amplifies BJP talking points on social media, possibly a new recruit to the West Bengal BJP IT cell. So possibly, even he doesn't know. So a random guy's comment on caste in Bengal is doing the bidding of Priti Rani. So you see, Declan Quigley, Nicholas Dirks, Dipankar Gupta, Irfan Habib, Priti Rani, not Priti Rani, हमारे शेखर बंदोपाध्याय, all these people are doing the bidding of BJP then. They are BJP ka dal, all of them. And they have been, I guess, hired by the BJP IT cell. Now things go further. Where's my reply? Yeah, check this. People are discussing Gotra. Oh, by the way, we are going to become OBCs, right?
हो सकता है, but I don't know how they're going to do the this thing, the counting of people. That is always like West Bengal government, whenever it announces something, I have my doubts on the efficacy of these things. But if there is a nationwide caste census, then that might be more helpful.
Nationwide only it will happen though.
Exactly. हो सकता है. I mean, should be done for a very different reason. Again, like I said, that what can of worms will open is something else entirely. And West Bengal may certainly it was it will certainly open a lot of very uncomfortable things in West Bengal. More importantly, the point is that people don't understand about West Bengal's caste census that has been proposed recently, according to Sudipta Guho, regarding OBC status for Mahishos, Boniks, Shahas, and Telis and all these people. The thing that you all don't get is in West Bengal is one of the states that proposes peacefuls as OBCs. Okay. So if peacefuls are OBCs, then do you understand what that's doing? This was already the case in Andhra Pradesh and many other states where peacefuls have been included as OBCs by the state governments. Okay, and because these people have been getting OBC certificates, many of them, despite not having even the merit within the OBC, so there is a separate category of OBC for peacefuls. Okay, so you have to understand that these categories, special categories, have been created to accommodate peacefuls within government sector, within the jobs, police, officers, teachers, all that stuff. And I know a lot of people who got jobs, government jobs, who are these people, they are actually they got the job because they are peaceful. And because of whatever. I mean, the biggest issue is that. So that's why in West Bengal, there needs to be a OBC kind of a census where a survey, at least by the state government, that allows the Mahishos and others to get OBC certificates. This will help. If you've been told that Hinduism is the only religion that promotes casteism, then the caste reservations should remain with Hindus. Okay. And EWS category is there for upper caste poor people. But if you're saying that Muslims have also caste issues within themselves, then you can't just come up with it 70 years later after abusing Hindus for 70, 80 years or 200 years. And then you say suddenly, okay, Muslims also have caste issues, so we should all give them reservations. That seems like a way to kind of, include, although the official stance of perhaps this channel is that, that there is caste everywhere, including Japan and all that. But that
therefore, it should not be recognized. It's organically there anyway.
Yes, and the other point is that means that if caste is, caste is a feature in almost every complex society, then the other issue comes that there should not be reservations or should not be vilification of Hindus. There should not also be reservations.
Yeah.
तो अगर रिजर्वेशन है ही, then the people who have faced the brunt of colonial authorities and the post colonial the governments that have been in power, primarily Congress and CPIM and all, if these people have abused Hindus by saying that you are casteist, then the resultant quota should remain with Hindus primarily. We've been told that Islam is an egalitarian religion. But then if Islam is an egalitarian religion, as the left has been claiming for hundreds of years now, if that is the truth, then why are you giving reservations?
Ashkesh is asking you something.
That is the biggest thing.
Ashkesh is asking you something.
No, what kind of academic papers are you talking about?
The ones that said that Hinduism is to blame for casteism and it only exists in Hinduism, and therefore reservations must go on.
Dekho, academic papers, you will find academic papers on every side saying all kinds of things. These are like political parties. Now, the thing is that people must pick and choose academics and academic papers based on their political ideology. मतलब तुमको ऐसा पेपर दिखा देंगे कि कम्युनिज्म इज ऑसम, इट वर्क्स, इट्स ब्रिलियंट, अच्छा स्टैट्स है, सब है. You would find some books and papers, some economists saying that libertarianism is the greatest. ऐसा हर book paper बहुत मिल जाएगा. You will get everything in academia. Okay, academia is not a monolith per se. Now that is the
majorly,
depends on what you need for your political ambitions and for your political aims. You will get those academics to support your view or academic papers to support your view.
Yeah. Now we'll get to what we talked about, because the lines from the debate, the exact context were very important. Can you hear me, Academic Man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, speak once again. My headphone is having some problems. My socialist headphone.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So Sriji Datta says that you must read more, and otherwise you'll fall back. And then Sriti Rani said this. So this guy, a random guy on Twitter, is also saying it because BJP says it. People can't have their thoughts unless you cosplay as a 1920s guy living into 2025 Gujarat. Okay. So I said that Srijita falling for the classic BB commie trope of starting an argument with, you haven't read enough. That's what usually commies do. So I said, sad anyway. Now, Tenoheka Banzai, our viewer here, says, crazy how 2% of the population controls the narrative and discourse of the state due to proximity to power and head start in humanities. Kolkata BBK, oh my God. Then he says stuff that can get my channel fucked. And I didn't correct him. And I didn't say to him that, no, don't say these things, etc. Because he's going around working as a disruptor. So let him fuck up some ideas and fuck up some people mentally, and then we will clarify and stuff. Then our other viewer, Gravity, points out that even a BBK in Kolkata has zero convergence with a BBK living in the faraway districts, towns and villages of Bengal. They're absolutely dirt poor. That's the case of outskirt BBKs. Forget about the rest. There's only 2 castes in Bengal, Kolkata BBK and the rest of Bengal. So so many of our viewers get it, And this post is unavailable because he has blocked me. This post is simply gone. Because after that, he said something again JU-like, which he deleted because it's so JU-like, okay? This is not because he has blocked me, okay? He has deleted this, lol. So I asked him, are you auto-generating BB commie replies from JU.ai? Then Gravity says, the caste politics will absolutely work beautifully in Bengal to sideline the BBKs of Kolkata, which is what 2-3% of Bengal's population. The rest, all of them fall under the backward class and caste in Bengal. A BBK in the outskirts is a small-time farmer or a small-time shopkeeper. You see, this guy, without me having to explain it explicitly, gets it. That the BBK discourse only harms the mainly, let's say, all the BBKs of Kolkata get some blame. But then the clarification comes in the very next sentence that we are criticizing them because they are commies who say casteism happens everywhere. So how is it harming the right-wing BBKs or the non-harmful BBKs? If it's a commie who's a harmful BBK, are you saying I should not criticize even them for being BBK? वो तो नहीं होगा भोसरी के.
No, also if you look at it, the non-Kolkata BBK, the rural BBKs, they are often much more religious also. Like the Kolkata BBKs are more global citizens who will eat beef and all that to prove a point, cut off their poites and stuff. The rural BBKs are actually, although I again, you know that I don't correlate religiosity with Hindutva.
उससे भी क्या हो जाएगा?
But even then, I would have to say that the rural BBKs are more closer to the temple-based traditional thing of Hinduism than the Kolkata-based BBKs, whom we are talking about, because these Kolkata BBKs are very conveniently religious also. Like they become religious when they need a favor, and
these days they are all religious. These days they are all saying that even I am a practicing Hindu, but I don't support this and that from the Hindu side.
वो तो राजदीप सरदेसाई 2 दिन बाद बोलता रहता है. Rajdip Sardesai keeps claiming to be a Hindu, although there's all evidence to the contrary. He says, how is BJP the representative of Hindus? I am a Hindu, and that's when I feel like laughing out loud. Matlab, Rajdip Sardesai calling himself a Hindu is funny.
Hashtag not in my name. So I have seen posts from BBK girls who eat beef 8 times in a week saying that even I'm a practicing Hindu. Everyone says they're a practicing Hindu all of a sudden. So it's hard to find who's not a practicing Hindu all of a sudden in India. So even I'm a practicing Hindu, but and I give Anjali on Ashtami, but even I don't support the Ram Mandir, etc. So there is Nrsimha Prasad Bhaduri, Hinduism expert, very knowledgeable allegedly in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upanishads. He dedicates his book to Mamata Banerjee, his book Ramayani, which is a character analysis of all the characters from Ramayana. And it costs 1,200 rupees, so no proletariat is ever going to buy that book. Now he says that he compares people who celebrate Ram Navami with loud music and stuff with dacoits. He says that just like Lord Ram protected his land from outsiders and dacoits and stuff, in the same way Mamata Banerjee is protecting her land from these sorts of religious dacoits, etc. So Srijit Datta says, now see Srijit Datta's criticism. To me, are you quickly regressing into becoming a chaddi from being a fairly promising YouTuber now that you are regurgitating their classic tropes of caste, anti-intellectualism, JNU bashing, and cheap commie jibes? Now, first of all, I am new to the right-wing circle, obviously, but AcademicMan, has this been a common coalition of some fucking sort, where people who bring up caste or criticize casteism are the ones who are anti-intellectualism, do the anti-intellectualism and also do the JNU bashing?
No. This is the problem with when you approach these Zoomer categories with actual logic. See, dekho, he can't fault you for being, uneducated. He's trying to prove that you're uneducated chaddi or whatever.
He's becoming a chaddi.
You're becoming whatever you are or whatever you have become or whatever. But what he fails to understand is actually typically chaddi kind of people whom he is referring to, they actually also deny caste for very different reasons. They say Bhagavad Gita mein caste ke against khilaf, birth-based casteism ke against whatever, and that kind of thing. The funny thing is, he and those people in the Sangh and all, who are all about the British invented caste and all that stuff. So they both deny caste exists, but in different ways. That chaddi guy will say UP mein caste exist nahi karta hai, or what has happened is bad, and Hinduism was always egalitarian. That one aspect is there. That guy I respect more because at least he's trying to defend his religion. Okay. Now, these Kolkata-based BBK so-called Hinduttvadis, they have another problem. They believe that anything that you say that goes against their view is anti-intellectualism. And if you are anti-intellectual, then you are by default a loser from the Sangh or whatever. That their words, not mine. So if you are a chaddi. Now the problem is that the real problem actually comes from the fact that most of your definitions and most of your discourse is actually derived from leftist academia, which again these people respect, like a Srijit Dotto would respect an Amartya Sen, right? Or a some other leftist thinker like Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, some historians like that. He will respect
the word respect needs to be clarified here, because a lot of people think respect means liking someone. No, respect means just knowing that
he's a great
thing.
guy. We have to, he maybe how Churchill respected Stalin, some that kind of a thing.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a great leader. I'm a great leader. That kind of a thing. But that's the thing. Like, he is actually trying to relegate you to level of Kavadia or something like that. He's trying to say that, bhai, you are one of those people who say do loud music and shout in the middle of the street, Jai Sri Ram. Okay, because at heart, this is the funny thing. At heart, the BBK guy can never accept a Kavadia, a lower caste Kavadia, as his own. He might talk about Hindu unity, but he will never accept a lower caste Hindu as his own brethren. Because not just people from North India, even Dalits, if you go to a Motua Mahasangho meeting where they play the drums and the loud music to celebrate their festivals, these people will find problems with those as well. Okay. Because this is a status thing. This is a consumption pattern. This is not this thing. This has little to do with Hindu unity and all. Because majority of Hindus are not intellectually no community has like 80% intellectuals, right? Intellectuals and highly educated people will make up 2% of any 2 to 5% of any community. Maybe Jews are a slight bit higher. But that is the problem, that somewhere when they say that these chaddis are like this and they are stupid and whatever, then they are actually going against one view of Hindu. Their version of Hindu unity is Hindu unity on my terms. My terms. I will be the leader. I will be the thought leader, and I will kind of lead the way, and the others have to follow. The others have to try to be like me in order to make a change. So this is exactly the kind of elitism we've been always talking about, actually.
Now, Srijit Dotto would say that just call it elitism and nothing else. But Srijit Dotto has a pattern of doing this. He not doing the caste thing, but he has a pattern of not accepting any criticism of Kolkata that right wingers usually do, which is why he is all of a sudden bringing up the criticism, the gali of being a chaddi, etc. Like I was telling you that day, he just seems to live in a parallel universe where it's 1920s Kolkata, and he is one of at least hanging around amongst those stalwarts and intellectual giants of those days. He lives in that imaginary world where Kolkata is still that. Now, just to be fair to this fat lackey of Srijit Dotto and Srijit Dotto himself, that another reason why they feel sad about this criticism of BBKs in the way we do it is because all our great nationalists also were BBKs. Now, they were Brahmins, Buddhas, Kaistos, but BBK is a specific phenomenon to which we are attributing some kinds of characteristics which are relevant today, but they don't get that and therefore think we are criticizing any Brahmin, Buddha or Kaisto anywhere, even though the caste of all the Bengalis I have interviewed myself, except Dr. Malay Patla, all of them have been Brahmins or Kaistos. I haven't even interviewed a Boiddo, I think. Yeah, the only Boiddo I had approached, it took so much time to set up a meeting with him that I gave up on it. So here, Bengali Hindu, this handle is comes and says, don't mind even you do ad hominem attacks, etc. against Brahmins, Buddhas and Kaistos. It's not a monopoly. That caste is not a monopoly of commies. If BJP thinks that they will insult the Bhadraloks like this, they are making a mistake. Okay, being a Bhadralok is an aspirational identity for even rural Bengalis. Now, in one or two ways, it is, which is the way to celebrate Durga Puja. The idea that only Ma Durga is for entire West Bengal, and that if you are a Bengali, you end up being Shakta by default, of something of that sort. People who know nothing of religion these days say these things, especially the commies who want to kick out all Biharis, say that no. Unless you worship Ma Durga, you are not a true Bengali. They don't know that Biharis worship Ma Durga with way more dedication than a Bengali from Kolkata. They have no fucking clue. Exactly. They have no clue what they're talking about. But even if we ignore Ma Durga here, rest of West Bengal today at least does not really want to be Bhadralok anymore, because Bhadralok has become a gali for most Bengalis. I think some sort of hatred forever existed as a city folk versus town folk, village folk fight, but it has reached huger proportions today. Now, but this guy says, since everyone wants to be a Bhadralok, why deride the Bhadralok? Now, he has a problem with not just criticizing BBKs for being BBK, he has a problem with criticizing Bhadraloks themselves. What the fuck? Bhadraloks are the sole reason why we are here. Bhadraloks are the main enemies of Bengal. Bhadraloks are the ones who have led Bengal here. They have created it, they have defended it, and they have justified all the bad things that have happened to Bengal. And we are not going to criticize Bhadraloks because they are Brahmins, Boitos, Kaistos, and because Indian nationalists are also from the Brahmin, Boito, Kaisto community. Okay, they used to be. Here, it takes more brutal turns. Srijit Datta points out that Tenohe Kavanzai a few days back had said, this post is unavailable because...
Can I just address a few comments?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
One by Satvik Das is that I am converting to Vajrayana, bro. I am and Sikkim right now, screw casteism. Again, if you read Irfan Habib and many others, caste ka jo ideology hai, that kind of, originated from Buddhist ideas of karmic rebirth and stuff. So best of luck with that. Number one. Number two is the polymerist says that Bhadralok has to be co-opted into Hindutva. Don't worry, the day BJP comes to power, someday it might happen. The very next morning, I can assure you, if they can accept Mamata Banerjee as their Lord and Savior, then they can accept even Shubhendu Adhikari and Dilip Ghosh and half-pant people and chaddis like Nirajan as their Lord and Savior. Mamata Banerjee ko maan liya to kisi ko bhi maan sakte hai. There is no problem. The BBK is spineless. This BBK is just a chicken version of the dinosaurs that used to exist.
Which is why I posted that after this conversation.
Show them the meme.
We'll get to
that. BBK छोड़ के कुछ नहीं हो सकता. BBK are all powerful deep state individuals, and then then you go and beg for posts from Mamata Banerjee's TMC. Then you have no respect left, self-respect left. Satvik Das, please go to the video by Irfan Habib on Irfan Habib on this channel itself, and even the video on Jyotka, you will get what you're looking for. Especially
now, respond to AK Brahma's question here on the screen.
Can you please ask AcademicMan how much BBK Kolkata is a narrative product of generational trauma of Bengali Hindus? Yes, see, what happened is the partition did not affect everyone equally. So what happened was that the Kolkata people who came earlier, especially the upper castes, they got more, they actually set themselves up near Calcutta. And more in, because they had degrees from, good colleges and schools in Dhaka and all these places, Faridpur, Borishal and all these places, they actually got a lot of, the advantage. And on Kolkata, maybe there were already existing upper caste families who were Goti, who weren't from Bangladesh. So collectively, these people started, becoming very powerful. And what happened after partition is, because a lot of the business communities, a lot of the wealth of the Bengalis, the Bengali Hindus, was left in Bangladesh. And a lot of people had to start over, and not everyone was an intellectual, right? Again, like I said, intellectuals are hardly 5% of the population. Then the rest, 80, 90, 95% people, they had to start over. The businesses and everyone got fucked. Like the Dalits, the lower caste individuals who came from that side were screwed even more. If you go to some sections of West Bengal where the Dalit refugees live, you will puke, literally. It's so horrible. the other lower castes, the non-BBK castes in Kolkata and outside, what happened was that because the partition happened and there was suddenly an influx of population, and the Nehruvian economy happened and all that.
But that aggravated it so much. If we hadn't done socialism right after partition, we would be rich as fuck today and would be funding people everywhere and telling people, see what happens when you do partition, etc. Never forget, etc.
We had cheap labor, bro. The Bangals could have served as cheap labor. Matlab, the ideal and also skilled, semi-skilled and skilled labor as well, right? So, if we had a free market economy after 1946 in Bengal, without Nehru also fucking us up, we could have been the next Maharashtra.
Yeah.
But we did not. We made it a socialist utopia and we got fucked.
Yeah. Because even up until 70s, Bengal was seeing a decline only, but there was so much money in Bengal even prior to that the remnants showed. Because even today we have not become Bihar for that very reason, because of the remnants of that.
Because of 250, 300 years, or maybe even, if I can argue, 500 years of, a lot of free trade and all that. Not totally free trade, but definitely freer than what Congress did, and which is why we should definitely do a live stream on why, the problem happens is that if you don't do capitalism, then what happens is that the same people stay in power forever and ever and ever. It becomes a feudal economy.
Stability is the source of rigidity.
Exactly. And that is why you have things like Bangla Pakko and stuff. These are all interrelated. Even if you have a Hindutva Wadi upper caste elite right now, they are also scared for their own privileges later, because it's all frozen, because they know that any kind of disruption, a large scale disruption, will actually harm their interest later. So they don't want the BJP that they want is their version of BJP. They don't care about the BJP that is actually existing. That's also there. That's another issue.
Abhay ki fatafati jinsh point out kореche.
Absolutely. And think about the mostly they were peasants, right? So peasants needed the land. And once you suddenly, in one generation, you become completely landless, then you get screwed even more.
Now you are considered a skillless, useless guy in society. All your skills are in a profession which doesn't exist right now.
Exactly. And that is why the partition could have been either, if we had free market capitalism, we could have surpassed Mumbai. But because we decided to play, Marx khelte hai, we got screwed. So, anyway.
Now, the only reason we have... Now, this is hilarious that the BBKs who hate Biharis, they don't realize the only reason we are not like them even now is because in West Bengal, rivers don't change so often and they stay in the state, and our business still goes on even if the people in power don't want businesses to go on in West Bengal. All of Bihar's wealth got fucked because of the end of their age-old legendary civilizations, and they might have ended because of the bad decisions of the kings, etc. But in the end, the nature has to sustain. You can't fight nature. Even socialism fails in front of nature, like it has failed in West Bengal. But you see, now Barbara is saying, when did BBKs turn into the Indian equivalent of what white Karens are to feminism? Matlab systemic advantages bhi chahiye and victim card bhi chahiye. Systematic advantages hai isliye victim card chahiye, because everyone else don't even know something exists, like the caste discourse of Bengal. BBKs, right wing and left wing, are happy. People who disagree with us, that is, they are happy with saying that yes, Modi Chapi happened or Sandesh Khali happened. It was really a bad thing. Now, what about the people from the castes of those victim castes and stuff, or the families of those victims? Do we know what they are saying on this? Does the subaltern speak? What if they are really happy with this discourse, and what if they think we are right? What if they also think yes, our castes it would not have mattered to those intellectuals of Kolkata, and therefore they never mentioned us? What if? Why should we only listen to BBK's, bro? Now, here I remember Tenoheka Banzai had said something factually wrong about Rabindranath Tagore, and Srijit Datto brings that up, and that happened 3-4 days prior to that. He's bringing this up now. He says that, you see, discourses are always done by uneducated people, and therefore, as an example of that, he quotes a 22-year-old STEM student, okay, who comes on our channel and discusses weapons, okay. Why did he get a fact wrong about Rabindranath Tagore? And then you talk about BBKs? How dare you? So I said, all corrections are over corrections. Then something else. Yes. Tenoheka Banzai, then the culprit here says, Ja baba, caster kecho khurte khurte dormant BB commission kal sab beriye esche. He says, okay, हम तो मतलब स्नेक ढूंढ रहे थे छोटा मोटा एक बीबी के बोल के, यहाँ पे तो बीबी कॉमी का एक पूरा नागिन निकल आया, ठीक है. तो I said, caste works in mysterious ways. Then here Siddhartha said something. Let me point out to you what he said. Even if he has blocked me, Elon Musk makes sure I can still look at his tweets. So in the previous reply, I had said that my intellect is not just verbal. It was a wordplay in Bengali. Choal means jaws. So I had said, Amar intellect choale thake na. And he got more pissed off with this because I was trolling. He was getting more pissed off. He said, yeah, I can see that.
Oh, your problem is something else. You don't talk like a chaddi, an uneducated chaddi. You are talking in his language. How dare you? That is his biggest problem.
So he says, I can see that, and you must have kept your intellect in the ID card place where I guess I keep my BJP membership. That's what he intends to say here. Then
you don't even have any new things to say. Wow. Hey, show them the chicken and thing, and let's slowly get over this post. Yeah, the chicken, the dinosaur.
No, wait. I'll have to get to the fun things here. There are insane more tangents here. Then I point out to him that, no, you see, I'm not hanging out with my gramophone record and Andar Mahal in my palace and in my pond, etc. Okay, I was hinting at the lives of BBKs from earlier decades, etc. Now, Gravity says that no one aspires to be Kolkata because Kolkata is a place of beggars in a way. Why will you aspire to be a Kolkatan when people in Kolkata are beggars themselves? So I gave a line from Fossils that if your age is between 13 and 19, your only two choices are being a killer or a thief. Fossils, Rupam Islam was writing this line based on the CPIM's rule. Now it's applicable to Trinamool's rule. Rupam Islam is a Trinamool supporter now. It's you see, privilege works in mysterious ways. Legend Bro is saying Shahasi.
Line, this Gravity ka post, this reminds me of something. Ojo General Rathod, that guy who's always the KK Menon character, Brigadier Rudra Pratap Singh. Okay.
Yeah.
जो video है, whenever something bad happens, like people watch that video, okay, and people comment also. And the first comment that came in my YouTube was when I was watching that video once was "इतना भी सच नहीं बोलना था." So that's the Kolkata thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Then it gets more and more. Pisses people off again. He says he was actually trying to mediate, okay, like Trump, and he actually mediated like Trump. He failed at it. He said, "Are Dada, why do you need to associate with a Kolkatan Brahman Boidokayas? So why not be a pan-Hindu or Hindu Brahman Boidokayas? So if you do that, you will not feel offended at all. Treat Kolkatan BBK as lab rats. Simple." So I said, a worthy opponent sharpens your skills. Gravity is going on ranting against Kolkata people. Thakur Thomas Soel says, matlab bridge burning mat kar dena. Then things take a right turn, hilarious turn. Check this out. What the fuck is more rants from Gravity? Yes. Now this nationalist citizen comes up with a classic criticism. He says, I accepted the argument we are furthering if class was used instead of caste. क्योंकि Marxism इतना normalized हो गया है कि तुम क्लास के बेसिस पे क्रिटिसिज्म करो तो भी एक्सेप्टेबल है, क्योंकि आफ्टर ऑल गरीब लोगों को खाने को नहीं है, रोटी नहीं है, कपड़े नहीं है, तो थोड़ा बहुत सोशलिज्म ठीक है ना इन सब के दिमाग में. इसलिए क्लास इज एन एक्सेप्टेबल क्रिटिसिज्म लौड़े, नॉट कास्ट. कास्ट में सिर्फ एक प्रॉब्लम है, एक अछूतता,
और कास्ट बता दोगे तो सबको तो मतलब मिर्ची लगेगी. सो
Tenoheka Banzai pisses people off further. He says most people Niranjanda is debating against are in the third category who see themselves in the second category. This is the third category who see themselves in the second category, and everyone is seeing it. All the people debating me, they get further pissed off. Again, Tenoheka Banzai. Okay, now the fat Bengali who asked me to meet him at Bhadralok because he was going to show me something. He says that classic thing against BBK discourse that Bonkim was a Bhadralok, Vivekananda was a Bhadralok, Aurobindo was a Bhadralok, Netaji was a Bhadralok, Rabindranath was a Bhadralok. Go ahead and deny the inheritance stalwarts if you want to destroy Bhadralok dominance in Bengal. First of all, why does he think that we'll have to destroy their legacy to criticize Bhadraloks of today? How does that work? How does it get destroyed even? We are saying Bhadraloks today suck. So I said, tum 100 bar was bolte raho, it does not become is. And secondly, even A.R. Rahman is Muslim, Rupam is Muslim, Mohammad Shami is Muslim, Sophia Qureshi is Muslim. So what? We'll stop criticizing Islamism. Because this is what everyone says to everyone. All of a sudden, you get a little butthurt because your group in a way has been maligned, and you get into defend that group by bringing out negligible numbers of outliers. So, exactly. Yes, Vivekananda, Bonkim, Aurobindo. So what? Today's BBKs are not 99% against India, Hinduism, etc. or Hindutva. Now, Srijit Datta jumps into this conversation later on. Now, he has a parallel conversation going on. By the way, you won't believe what Srijit Datta says to this. Fat Bengali Hindu says that eder kache, meaning people like us, for us, Jogen Mondal is a subaltern leader who had, now he gives me the history of Jogennath Mondal as if I did not know that already. I say that yes, you can't get away with misrepresenting this. BB commies are getting galis and gali khate rahenge. You keep imagining your 1920s Kolkata and do a cosplay fancy dress party where we don't live anymore. Now, Srijato here says gives me more random trivia about Jogennath Mondal, and I say sarcastically that, oh yeah, I heard it for the first time. Really, I'm amazed, bro. Now Srijit Datta says something in a way after which I stop being polite. Srijit Datta says, Khoka, listen boy, you'll hear many things for the first time. Listen to this, and he gives me some more random trivia about Jogennath Mondal, which I already knew. Now, at this, I get pissed off and I say...
I hate this tendency of these, BBKs, I've seen this a lot. They, just because they read like 4 random books, they have this tendency of acting like nobody else ever read any books or knows anything else except... This is exactly why the rest of the state, people like us, were actually angry. Not just because you are socialists and you are bloody, hypocrites of the highest order, but also because you are so condescending. You act like nobody else has ever read a book or knows anything.
Jogennath Mondoler bara amake golpo shunbo prothombar. He ran away.
Why? This is the problem. You see, this is why they don't like the information technology and all that stuff. At their hearts, they don't like this.
Because new entrance to their exclusive group.
Exactly. And you know their tricks, na? That is the worst thing for them.
So I say, listen, grandfather. He calls me listen, boy. So I tell him, Shono Dadu, why are you getting hurt if we are criticizing BB commies? I'm going on mentioning commie and he's going on defending BBKs. Can you believe fucking that? This is the fun part. I'm going on saying BB commie. So I say that don't bring up irrelevant trivia to justify BB commies arguments today. And yes, don't forget to play 1920 to keep up with your cosplay photo shoots, etc. He gets more pissed off with it, obviously. Tenoheka Banzai pisses people off again. He says, is taking the exception as the norm a BB commie trait? I say that this must be the mathematics knowledge that made them Marxist. Then another techie bong guy comes and says, Kolkata Bengalis are casteist. They will try to couch it in some other terms, but there is strong othering of people in their minds. That is casteism. That is why Mori Jhapi, if they die, it doesn't matter to us. That is casteism. So this techie bong guy is absolutely correct. Frankly, everyone is that way, but we have to point this out because for some reason, the narrative builders of Kolkata think they are the only group in the whole world who are not like that. But in the end, everyone more or less hates all other groups in the same way. Okay. Now, Srijit Datta says, boy, Khoka, Chaddis. He says that if I'm criticizing Chaddis for doing caste-based politics, why are you feeling kind of butthurt? Okay. এক বিজেপি আইটি সেলের ছোড়া তো I just pointed out a mistake shown by BJP IT cell and you are pissed off. Why is that? It seems to be interesting to him. Okay, now I didn't know BJP has this viewpoint. I didn't know BJP IT cell. We still don't know if that guy is from BJP IT cell to begin with. Okay, but anyway, he's saying therefore you are a BJP guy. This is where it leads to. Then I get back to saying your chaddi and IT cell criticisms everywhere at the drop of a hat. This is also a very BB commie trait. Why do you have all the BB commie traits? Now, here in this post, Srijit Datta says, huh? Did you bolle?
No, I just said ish.
Oh. Yeah. Now, Srijit Datta says, to that fat Bengali guy I had said, no, that yes, even Rupam Islam is Muslim, A. Rahman is Muslim, Sophia Qureshi is Muslim, etc. Now, he takes the names of only two Muslims here who are relevant to his debate a little. He says, oh, A.R. Rahman and Rupam Islam are fossils. As if those two are really great examples, because A.R. Rahman has not said anything on fossil, on Pahalgam. And Rupam Islam is a votary or is a supporter of Trinamool these days. So you see, they are really bad examples. Now, as if they are doing those things just because they are Muslims. Now, you see, Srijit Datta not only doesn't understand anything of caste, he doesn't understand anything of metal, hard rock, the trajectory of music genres on which we had debated about a year ago. Now, apparently, he doesn't understand anything of Islam, nor Kolkata's industry. Now, entire Bollywood, obviously.
Yeah. He's basically taking out every line and trying to find a problem with it because he can't go against your argument.
AcademicMan, do you know A.R. Rahman has faced this criticism from far-left academics forever? People, I mean, the kiddies, okay, who have just done their masters and PhD and stuff, they have forever criticized A.R. Rahman for not speaking out against Hindu attacks on Muslims, on different Hindu-Muslim riots where mainly Muslims have died and stuff. Why hasn't A.R. Rahman spoken out about them? This has been a classic criticism of A.R. Rahman. Okay, now, why hasn't he spoken up on Pahalgam? So, first of all, industry people are not doing that for some reason or the other. We know the reasons pretty much, but it's not just because A.R. Rahman is Muslim. I'm alleging at least. Now, Rupam Islam, being a Trinamool supporter, why the fuck does that matter again? That's also relevant. So I bring that up. I said that, oh yes, as if BB commies are really protesting against Pahalgam or protesting against or voting against Trinamool. Who votes for Trinamool? Who is saying that not all Pakistanis, not all Muslims, etc.? All of that is being done by BBKs only. So again, his argument absolutely fails here. Rupam Islam and A.R. Rahman are practically irrelevant to this. Okay. Now, nationalist netizen now calls me a Kolkata Bhadwa because I pointed out to him that caste and class are not the same things. So I told him, ask for a refund from the school that taught you English grammar. Then I'll show you which post made Srijit Datta block me.
Where's the dinosaur thing?
At the end, after all this discussion was over. Then Srijit Datta points out some more criticism of BBK, etc. I say it's deserved and legitimate. Here he says further things, at this point irrelevant things. But I'm just going on saying that you go on misrepresenting the BB commie criticisms, but just explain to me why are you getting pissed off if we are criticizing BB commies, and go on with your playing 1920 with your cosplay and fancy dress competitions, etc. Now this is why I was going on with this Twitter thread. Here something parallelly happened. Okay, that fat Bengali guy joined in a discussion between me and Tenoheka Banzai. I was pointing out to Tenoheka Banzai that people like Srijit Datta and even this guy, they don't have a skin in the game because they are, after all, from other states. This guy's Facebook profile says that he lives in Delhi and Sri Datta lives in Gujarat. So they don't have skin in the game. And this guy gets pissed off with it very much.
Funny how these Bengali pride people end up going to other states and acting smart. It's very funny.
Then he says, Bhavanipur chile. I'm a guy from Bhavanipur. If I was in the neighborhood, I would have shown you how much skin I have. Okay, so man boobs.
Ironically, Bhavanipur is the constituency of Mamata Banerjee. Anyway, continue.
And stop speaking shit. Albal baka bando kar, etc. Tenoy is going on saying this. Tenoy Kamanthai says he will die out in 60-70 years. His descendants will be forced to let go of this dumb bourgeoisie mindset, as Bengali language will have no social capital left by then. If he has any descendants left by then, lol. Save your energy, do a push-up. Kaje debe, have a nice day. I said he already lives outside Bengal. He doesn't have skin in the game. Yeah, that's where it came from. Now see what happens. This is the post to which I replied, and then Sri Datta blocked me. Another guy, Akash Nil Sarkar, asks Sri Datta, who or what is BB Comi? Sri Datta is saying he's steel manning our argument here. Brahman Boidyo caste Comi, it is their convenient and mischievous way of bracketing all general castes of Bengal under the Comi label and thus incite hatred against these castes under the pretext of doing anti-communist politics. So, have you dumb fucks understood as of now that we are criticizing only BBKs of Kolkata who are commies? अगर collateral damage होता भी है, उसको हम उसका चिकित्सा हम खुद करेंगे ये बोल के कि नहीं भाई, you are not the target of my weapon. गोली सिर्फ तुमको गलती से लग गया भूसी के अब क्या करें, ठीक है? पेड़ जब उगता है आसपास का सॉइल तो थोड़ा हिलता है, you know. So they are just collateral damage, but mainly if this group becomes irrelevant, then Bengal and India benefits because it's the commies of Bengal who are becoming irrelevant. So I had to point that out. I said, lying Dadu doesn't understand the C of caste and probably looked up the spelling of caste on his BB Comi critique generator AI. BB Comi implies only Bamun Boidyo castes of Kolkata because only they have had the proximity to power and legitimacy. The first time I get serious, I get blocked. This is the end of this beautiful love story. And let's see if I can find my reply to the fat Bengali. This is what AcademicMan sent to me to describe BBKs, which I posted mysteriously. Oh, I did say it's Kolkata BBK. Nice.
Go.
Oh, and I go to this as well. Okay, I can't find my response to fat Bengali guy anymore, but that's okay. I told him that, I can't listen to a fat guy threatening me from Bhavanipur. Okay, now, AcademicMan, how is this relevant to Tollywood's guilt problem?
I thought I had fallen asleep. Anyway, so Tollywood's guilt problem ka jo main problem hai, which is always a problem with artists. Now, this is what I really hate about, the modern day artists of all kinds, Earlier, artists had no qualms working for kings and feudal lords and businessmen, okay? In fact, the primary source of funding for art was coming from feudal lords and kings and businessmen and powerful people, okay? In fact, most art would be a celebration of power and authority. Abhi kya hua? Because of communism and all that stuff getting more powerful day by day and people becoming libtards, artists had to become libtards and they felt that they can be leaders, thought leaders of socialism. Now that is why most artists, most theater people, most actors, musicians, anytime you ask them, they are all about egalitarianism and socialism and communism and all that stuff. They're all about equality and human rights. Now the problem is that because they they highlight these things through their art, we have movements like communism and all. See, communism might be might come to power through coups and political alliances and stuff, but it is sustained through art. Okay.
Have you seen the movie Jay?
I actually haven't, because I absolutely hate that guy. These are some of the few, even Motorcycle Diaries I haven't seen. specifically.
No, but the movie Che is absolutely brilliant. Okay, as a movie. It's very beautifully well produced. Production value is great. It's very tight and stuff. And you'll end up liking the movie at least as a fun imaginary superhero character. So it's a 2-part movie. At the end of part 1, when Cuba has finally been won by the commies, a random guy, after burning up some bus, to Che, and Che is walking about on the streets with his gun and he's lighting up a cigar. The random kid comes and asks and tells Che that, can we have a day off or something like that, or have a little fun now, because the revolution is done. We just completed the revolution. Che says, the war has been won. The revolution begins now. Now that revolution is how commies sustain that war and that victory. Okay, that is when they begin their propaganda.
And you see, that is what I was talking about. Like in West Bengal, when the CPM was established and came to power and all that, a lot of factories were closed and stuff like that. So the per capita GDP of West Bengal declined very rapidly. Now these are the people who are also tacitly responsible. They are certainly partially or mainly responsible for the decline of the income of Kolkata people, because they celebrated an ideology that was against prosperity. They celebrated ideologies that were against wealth and prosperity.
Let me push back a little here. I think you must I think the fact is that they were not partially responsible, they were wholly responsible for at least defending it, because some of them were Congress supporters who supported JNU, who supported Jawaharlal Nehru when he started fucking the state, and the other half was commie who supported CPIM. So all of them were absolutely complicit behind both Congress and CPIM in their deindustrialization of Bengal.
Absolutely. And this is the problem that that has come back to plague them, but much later, like 40, 50 years down the line. So today what has happened is the unions were a product of essentially power politics, because unions are never organic. Unions have to, people in unions are guilted to join the unions. Okay, they're forced to join unions. They sometimes want to work, but the union dadas say that if you work, we'll screw you over. So they join union. Exactly. Every union, anywhere. So what happens is that these people, if you go to any play or movie or whatever, it's all about the power of unity and crap like that. Okay, the power of unity ko ye jo romanticize karte hai, that same power of unity is actually coercion and feudalism. That's what they don't understand. Okay, or they do understand and they keep quiet because of the BBK thing. Okay, that matlab, the narrative has to be in our hand. We control the narrative and the unions and everything.
And so the exclusivity of our group has to keep on being exclusive.
And if you have capitalism, which is why I always claim that, you see, in Kolkata, Kolkata, basically the exclusivity is maintained in feudal societies. Feudal lords kya karte the? Imagine a feudal lord in medieval Europe. Okay, what did he do? If you are a talented peasant or you have something, then you say that, okay, bhai, I want to do this, I want to do business. He's like, no, business nahi karoge. I will do whatever is there, and our source of income will be land and whatever. So when the Industrial Revolution happened, the feudal lords were fucked, because their source of income was disrupted by a new class of people who suddenly became very wealthy. But the BBKs in Kolkata, they don't like capitalism, because now that they have consolidated the power, they don't want things to change. They don't want a Shaha or a Mondol to become the chief minister or a powerful businessman and stuff. They don't like that. Okay.
No. Let's not again confuse people further again explain this 1 year later. Let's explain them right now only, because the way you say it, it seems like they wake up in the morning and read Manusmriti and then go after all Shahas and Mandols. If it's not that, then what is it?
No, so these are not people who ever read a Manusmriti to chodo, koi Ved, koi.
Then how are they casteist?
Yahi to hai ki caste is a product of feudal feudal relations. Okay, if I have to put it that way in a Marxist terminology. Caste has always been the product of a feudal relations, which is why you will find caste in any kind of feudal society. Western Europe, people started prospering very rapidly again, like I said, because of industrial revolution. So they could claim that our caste system is over. Ya pehle tha, ab nahi tha, aisa kuch. And they tried to stereotype us as the only religion with caste. But tum kahi bhi jaoge, which is a feudal society, you check the history of that those people or those times. Feudal society there would be a hereditary elite and aristocrats who would ostracize the lower orders, peasants and other kind of small workers and stuff, right? So that has always been the source of caste, not Hinduism. Nobody read the Manusmriti in West Bengal and started to be casteist. People didn't give a damn about Morijhapi, not because they read the Manusmriti in the morning, but because they basically don't give a shit about the lower castes of their state, because they are a feudal elite who want to maintain their privileges and not see that privilege and power challenged by a lower order of people who can benefit. Dekho, Morijhapi actually, I think Deep Haldar had mentioned it to you once. I remember you telling me this, that Morijhapi was like the death of Adam Smith in West Bengal. But if you look at the people of
Morijhapi, it was very important point. Yeah.
Deep Haldar is a genius, so he keeps proving it all the time. Anyway, so Deep Haldar actually said a very important thing. He said the people of Morijhapi were essentially entrepreneurs. They got kicked out of their houses. They got stranded in the middle of nowhere in a jungle, and they still had entrepreneurial skills to start living there. Okay, in an island which you have to understand is surrounded by crocodiles and tigers and stuff. Okay. And Jyoti Babu and his government did not like that. This has always been the case.
People don't know the story. I'll just elaborate the story a little. So, the new refugees then, who have just now come to Morijhapi, they say we don't need freebies or support and stuff from the government. Or we can create everything here. And they actually even did. They just cleared out a portion of the forest areas and the marshland areas and created an entire civilization and settlement there. Okay, people were astonished when Babus from Kolkata first went there. Then they say we are going to grow everything here. We don't need your help or your freebies for anything. Just give us access to Kolkata's markets.
Thomas Sowell ka atma.
Yeah, just give us access to the Kolkata markets in some way or the other, so that we, let's say, maybe arrange some vehicle for us so that we can conveniently reach there and sell our stuff there. That's where I think a lot of commies were also pissed off, because how dare you not be dependent on me? Because the Spider-Man quote that's actually from Voltaire is absolutely misunderstood. And I think himself, I have not read anything by Voltaire except that fucking line, so I should not blame it on Voltaire completely. But with great responsibility, power doesn't come. With great powers, responsibility doesn't come. With great responsibilities, powers come. Okay, that's why everyone wants to come across as a responsible guy for someone else. I want to do things for you. Let me give you this piece of freebie, please.
So that you are dependent on me.
Yeah.
So that you are completely dependent.
Today, I identify with that potential guy. I think he probably got killed later on, who said this exact sentence to those people from CPIM and is probably now dead, or his grandson is probably watching this live stream someday. He was trying to do the same thing at that point in a way what I am doing. He was trying to generate employment and prosperity in a particular situation, do stuff without the government's help. The government told him, no, you have to be dependent on us. So why am I not a card holding member of the guild as well? Why shouldn't I work with them? Just like they get salaries and stuff for even a lot of times not doing anything. Okay, directors get salaries. Okay, can you believe that? Because garib logo ka kya hoga, income stability, all of that stuff. Now, why aren't you dependent on the government? I'm being told the same guy that guy was told on that night in Morijhapi. Okay, yeah. Now go ahead.
No, so essentially what happened in the case of Morijhapi is that no, what was I actually discussing that Morijhapi came around?
Yeah. We were discussing that they were not important and stuff, but I was about to ask you anyway. Then, in the interest of discussing for the last 10-15 minutes,
how is the union thing important, and how is that connected to BBK issue, right?
Yeah.
And
what are the hopes for it if Shubhendu or Abhishek becomes the CM in 26?
Hope to मैं आऊंगा hope पे, but the problem with unions is that the unions basically create a kind of hostage situation. Like if you have to work, you have to work with us.
Yes.
और बंगाल में यही एक business बाकी है, मतलब because I mean people have to live. So whatever you do, if you have to make a building, you have to take the syndicate. Say you have to take stuff like sand and cement and all that stuff. If you want to
everything is fixed for everyone. Resources crunches are so high, everything has to be fixed for everyone, or they don't want to work.
ये feudal system नहीं है तो क्या है मुझे नहीं मालूम. This is as feudal as it gets. This reminds me of the paper you read on Japan a few months back, where they said that beggar का ये role है, prostitute का ये role है, ये जगह है, this that, ये rate fixed है सब. Whenever you fix rates and tell people only you can do this, ये license है, वो license है, it's a feudal economy just in a different name.
Yes.
It's just food. Union मतलब क्या है? Some union lord is controlling your life. और union lord तुम देखोगे is always connected to the leading political parties. Okay, it's always controlled by the some level of this thing, some level of power. The
one buyer of resources, one buyer of services. You can't do anything with anyone else.
Exactly. And the bigger problem is that the BBK issue is related to this because the BBK artists and intellectuals and all of them
they're still not even opposed to Trinamool wholeheartedly. They say it on the face of it, they want to vote for CPM.
They're not even opposed to the problem is not TMC also. They are not opposed to the concept of unions. They're not. No Bengali director or actor will come out in the open and say, "Bhai, union chutiya type cheez hai, union ko hatao." Nobody will say it. Okay, that is because when the union goes, even they know at some level that they are screwed. I think Ash Ketchum has made a very important point. Union is a mob of industry. तुम लोगों को याद है जो Godfather film था? Godfather में, if you read the book, it's even better. In Godfather, when Johnny Fontane, he was supposed to get a movie role, apparently. And the director was like, Johnny Fontane, had an affair with a starlet, a young girl. So I'm not going to take Johnny Fontane. He's an asshole. So Johnny Fontane goes to the Godfather and requests this. Okay. And the next day they see that the producers, the most beautiful horse that the producer had, the most costly horse, its head is cut off and put on the producer's bed as a message. And then the producer is all scared, and then what they do is, the producer takes Johnny Fontane in the movie. So yeah, all that seems nice when you're watching the movie Godfather, but think of what the Godfather actually did. He was a union leader. And he threatened a guy who's a producer, big time producer and director and all that. He threatened a guy into taking a guy whom he likes. Matlab uske, a guy who's already privileged, but because the mafia guy says it, he has to take him.
All gangsters and mobsters of USA have been historically linked with some union bazi or the other. Gandu chodas who don't understand how USA functions, they say yes, even USA is corrupt, etc. In the same way, exact way. So, or they get to say that India is inherently corrupt because of our racial stuff, and we eat so much vegetarian food, therefore I guess we become extra corrupt. Everything that happens in India, the phenomenon that there is corruption in every level, that would have gone on in USA if they had not free marketed the fuck out of their asses. Those mobsters and gangsters, they fucked the backs of all those unions. That's why corruption in USA happens inside the circles of the top 1%, 2%, where there is stability and rigidity. They do their shenanigans so that they never change. all the economic disruptions happens in the rest of the society, which is why USA is a great country for everyone else in the whole world, because in the economic classes of not 1%, all people from all places of the world want to go to USA. Only the richest of every country, they don't want to really go to USA and settle there, because then they'll have to fight it out with the top 1% corrupt people. For everyone else, it's a corruption-free country, more or less. Okay. Now, the way to do that was by fucking the union.
Exactly. The BBKs, they actually support these concepts of union and all that stuff. And that is the biggest problem. Matlab, if you go out and talk to anyone in Kolkata or even West Bengal or even any part of India sometimes, and you say ki unions are a bad thing, they will go against you. Although most people's lives are, made horrible by union leaders, by unions. But they will never acknowledge it. They will never say.
You can't say anything to auto drivers in Kolkata because there is an auto union. You can't say anything while building your own home because they need fixed incomes from you buying cement from them. Now you can't do a music video in any way you want. You can't do a movie in any way you want because garib logo ke paas khane ko nahi hai. They had to become a light engineer in Tollywood only. You see. Now,
actually, the funny thing is that this is why Hindutva people, should stop being socialist. Is that the same claims that you make for peacefuls is the same stuff that unions do. The peacefuls are just better unionized than us.
Yeah,
it's the same logic, by the way.
Yeah,
और उनमें भी feudal lord वगैरह सब है. So the exact same shit is being done by peacefuls, and you have a problem with it. But then union also you should have a problem with. I'm not saying all Hindutva support unions. I'm not saying that, but there are many Hindutva socialists who like this kind of union thing and stuff.
An overwhelming majority do support unions. Okay, we are a minority of a minority of a minority. We are not relevant. Now, so do you see this going away at all? Because see, first of all, every state has this more or less, but not to the extent that they fuck up the industry itself. Here, we are fucking up the industry itself, and some would argue it's therefore a racially Bengali problem because Kerala does communism well, Soviet Union does communism well, only Bengalis screw it up. Now, union bazi hota hai pure desh mein, only Bengalis screw it up. Tola bazi happens everywhere, only Bengalis screw it up. What's going on here? Is it too much fish? Should all of us go?
No, to say that Soviet Union did it well is a horrible, statement. I think Soviet Union, it didn't survive. So
for me, Bengalis say it themselves. Remember, I had told you on a live stream only that a friend of a relative once we were debating Cuba and stuff, and I said that communism fails everywhere, etc. In the end, he said, maybe we have not done justice to Marx. Maybe we have not been able to follow his precepts properly. So you see, it's Bengali communism. Bengalis have screwed up communism. So so what do we do then? Can this thought ever go away?
We have nothing to do per se, but the truth is that I see an opportunity here for change, in the sense that one day, perhaps not right now, one day, these there will be qualitative change. There is quantitative change in that people are speaking out against mob bosses and stuff because they are being inconvenienced. One day I can hope for perhaps qualitative change. It's not the time yet, but I think the discourse of Bengal needs to be uplifted, and I guess we're starting that job right now. The bigger issue I am going to say is that once BJP, let's say, does come to power, let's say, I'm assuming it does in 2026, उसमें भी बहुत लोगों का doubt है. But let's say it does come to power, then if BJP does come to power, then a lot of these things will persist. Perhaps it will be slightly different for people who are on the side of the party and stuff, but the essential problem will remain similar.
That's what I'm wondering, because BJP doesn't like to rock boats, except Yogi Adityanath, who's not traditionally a BJP guy. Everyone likes to bring in changes wherever they come to power very gradually. So I don't see Union Bazi ending all of a sudden in West Bengal.
No, it won't. It won't. And
I would be surprised if Farooq Biswas joins BJP and goes on with Guild himself.
I don't know, but I guess what might. I mean, there might be some quantitative changes. We can hope for that.
What's the best case scenario? What's the best case scenario regarding
regarding
the guilt problem if BJP comes to power?
Rate will be fixed. मतलब जो variable rate है that will be fixed. That like same under CPIM.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna like qualitative change नहीं होगा, quantitative change हो जाएगा. Which a lot of people are okay with actually. So that's the other issue. Like BJP often puts a band-aid on like a bypass surgery. So तो क्या करेंगे मतलब you have nothing to do except educate people, and even then it's very difficult without incentives. क्या करेंगे?
And if Abhishek,
we've already been accused of being Abhishek fanboys, you and I.
At the same time that right wingers have called us BJP ka dalla.
You're everywhere, all over the place. Thankfully, nobody calls it CPIM anymore. So anyway, that's the only the compliment that you have maybe at this point. So the thing is that if Bhaipo, let's say, assumes power and soon, although Amit Shah categorically said Bhaipo is not going to be CM 2 days earlier in Kolkata. So if I assume that he becomes CM, let's say, even then maybe again the same thing, rate might be fixed, but then parties like the TMC are essentially offshoots of Congress, so it's very difficult. Dekho, Congress type parties ka yahi problem hai, they don't have a centralized structure, okay, which is why they always have these issues of contested hierarchies and stuff like that. So it's always going to be a problem in that sense.
What's the worst case scenario if Abhishek comes to power on this guilt issue? It goes
on. Worst case is this continues. I mean, I don't think it can get worse than that. I mean, in 2011, I thought, okay, it can't get worse than CPIM, but then now I'm saying it can't get worse than TMC, but I might be wrong. So,
okay, last question. Do you see a scenario where all the Tollywood people who are unhappy with the guild finally get pissed off enough and say fuck off and do a strike and don't do any movies until the guild stops doing its shenanigans, and some guarantees that they won't do shenanigans?
उनके पास पैसा नहीं है. The only reason many of them are earning is because of the guild, okay, or because of the existing system. They are देखो, यही तो problem है. This is what people don't understand. They are earning, but they're not earning enough. They're not happy with the earnings. Okay. So that's why they have the problem. You get my point? So
the way to conclude whether AcademicMan...
They will not admit that is the issue. They will never admit that is the issue. Okay. But that is the thing. That the real issue is not that they are not earning. The real issue is they're not earning enough to keep them happy, make them happy.
And the way to confirm that this is true is check the Instagram profiles of tier 2, tier 3 actresses of Tollywood, okay? People who are not known for exposing their bodies too much and doing bold photo shoots and dances or reels and stuff. Every few months, you will see one more actress or VJ who has kind of bought into it, or let's say has, what's the term? Another one bites the dust, yeah? You will go on seeing that happen, actresses and stuff. Because with women in acting jobs, even men in acting jobs, there's a huge problem. If you want to be a heroine and your brains are that level that you can only be a heroine or heroine, and you are not able to be that, you have to get into porn or porn-like things. Now, Instagram helps people do a bit of both. So you are seeing every day more and more people from Tollywood either join Tollywood or turn their Instagram into an OnlyFans account. Okay, that shows that work is done.
Yep.
Okay, absolutely. Then thank you, AcademicMan. Thank you for sitting for a long time during my alap. Your grooves later on were great. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you guys for joining the discussion. Thank you. See you. Good night.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায় তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ও আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে